Hello friends, I'm sure that many of you who are watching this video message by Facebook this week know what transpired in our diocese last week. A priest, one of ours for sure, was found guilty and last week sentenced to jail because of sexual abuse of a minor, and that nigh on 35 years ago. The priest admitted his guilt and so was convicted by the court and sentenced to 15 months because of his crime. And you know, when this happens in the church again and again, less often now, but still from time to time, there's many emotions that come forth in everyone. Often there's a sort of a moral righteousness that wells up, and the moral righteousness can be once again a poor one, a vulnerable person, a defenseless person is hurt and wounded for life often. And so just a moral righteousness about how can that happen? How can the church allow that to happen? How? And then on the other side, there's also the people who have known that priest and enjoyed his friendship, enjoyed even his ministry in a variety of ways, who also say, well, that's not possible, or this was cooked up somehow, or we know him, this can't be true, this can't be true at all. And so you have this moral righteousness on one side and on the other. But after a while, pretty well everyone comes to share the same emotion deep down. And that emotion is one of deep sadness. Deep sadness. That this would happen. That a young person would have been hurt in that way. That a priest there for the people of God would have strayed in that way. That a sadness that of thinking, well, what is this church really all about? How does it really move and live and be organized, and place of leadership and the place of the people? Many questions, but sadness is the dominant note. And so I think what we need to do is not let that sadness overwhelm us, but in its own hard way, that sadness spur us on to make sure that it never happens again, that we do absolutely everything, that we educate one another around, the red flags of sexual abuse, of seeing, if that happens in such a way, those kind of things said, maybe we should cast a second look at it. Education, but pure and simply about sexuality, mature sexuality, integrated sexuality, the sexuality of an adult able to enter into relationship. And what does it take for that sort of intimacy? Whether you're married or celibate, what does it take to form true relationships from within us, to form true, respectful, life-giving relationships, mutual love in the end? And then for prevention. But if I can come back to education, just for all to know that the seminaries, the program of formation of seminarians these days, yes, in response to these things in the past, but also in response to people saying we need pastors who are true shepherds, who are faith-filled, have common sense and generosity, and are whole, so that living with us they can lead our parish into greater wholeness. And I just want to say that the seminarians, I know the program of formation in the seminaries, whether it be in Edmonton or in St. Peter's in London, Ontario for us, great attention is placed upon that. Psychological tests, discussions among themselves, presentations, just to make sure that those young men have reflected upon that and discerned God's call. God's call to celibacy, but God's call to especially service in the name of Jesus, the Good Shepherd. Prevention. So we there's many elements in our protocol that say, okay, so to prevent, you do this. Abuse registry checks. You make sure people know that you have to have these measures in place. Windows on our classrooms. 2 people when dealing with children. Nobody riding home all alone with a child. Just the basics to assure prevention. And then saying we can carry this together. It's a sadness that is felt, within a hockey team when they discover that their beloved coach had hurt one of their players, or in a teaching staff and they discover that one of their students was hurt by a fellow teacher, by a friend even. And the same sadness within the clergy of the church, within the leadership of the church, the bishops and beyond to the Holy Father. And Pope Francis is so strong on this. But also that sadness amongst the people of God, whoever they are. And so it's a sadness that says, but together with God, with God's help, together we can move beyond this sadness to healing and reconciliation. Together, let that be our prayer. Thank you.